Hi everyone and welcome back. It's Mindy with Mindy Design, and today I'm going to be coloring up this super yummy and sweet image from Kraftin Kimmie stamps. So let's get started. Here's the stamp set, and this is from Let Them Eat Cupcakes. So it has these two great images and a few sentiments on here. I stamped this one that was smelling buns or muffins, however you want to take it. So I'm going to be coloring with my Copic markers. So I stamped this image onto Nina Solar Weight cardstock, 80 pound. This is just my personal preference of cardstock that I like to color on. And I stamped it with a Copic friendly ink. And then I'm going to be coming in with my I started with my lightest color just to lay a base coat down on the skin parts. I only do that for the skin parts of the image. And then I come in with my darkest color, which is the E04, and I'll have all the colors listed at the top of the screen for you. So I go and just lay down some shadow areas where the hair would be laying over the face, casting a bit of a shadow. Underneath the leggings area, I believe would be casting a shadow, and also on the one leg where one would cast a shadow on the other, and also on the arms, the sleeves, things like that. So I go in with the darkest color and then I blend that out darkest to lightest. So I'll go in with the E11 and E21. Now on the E11, I do go over that E04 a little bit and then just drag that out a little bit more. So I slowly build up my color, slowly blend that out to my lightest color. And I do go over this twice. And that's mainly to just make it a smoother blend and deepen up my shadow areas. That's, like I said, just my personal preference. It's something I've kind of gotten used to doing. And then here is that second layer. I'm really careful and I'm really light because I don't want it to get gummy. When you lay too many layers down, sometimes it can gum up. So I'm just real careful and doing this lightly and blending that out. So I got my shadow areas there under the cuff of the pants, and then back into the face. Now I could see where maybe there'd be a slight shadow where the muffins are in front of the face, but being it was such a smaller area, I just left that out. That's just, like I said, my personal preference. I don't get too detailed. I just kind of make sure I do have some dimension to my images. So once I have the skin all colored in, I'm going to come in with my hair. And typically when I color the hair, I start with the darkest. This, I grabbed the wrong marker at first, but I come in with the darkest, which is the E59, and I just draw in some shadow areas, doing some little bit of flicking from the headband going in and then the top of the head. So the lightest or the highlight areas are going to be kind of in the middle of the hair. And then blending that out with going to the lightest. So I have E59, 57, and 35 is one of my favorite hair color combos. And then I do just come back in slightly with that E59. So now we'll be moving on to the pants, and I follow the same process as I do any other parts of the image. I start out with my darkest, laying in my shadow areas. I know some people like to come in with their lightest color first to draw in their shadow areas. I personally just skip that step. I just go right into my darkest. If I oops, and I just keep moving on. So I come in with the darkest, which is the B37, blend that out with the B14, and finish it off with the B12. And I do go over this twice as well. So I just laid some shadows over where the apron is laying on top of the pants, would be my darkest areas, and blend it out, making sure I have some definition where the kneecaps are. I wanted to make sure that kind of stood out a little bit. And then I can come in with my shirt colors. And this is going to be YR18, YR15, and Y15. I wasn't really sure. I just grabbed this, honestly, off of Pinterest. I never tried this color combo before, so I don't know if I wanted the shirt to be yellow or orange. It kind of has a mix going on here, which I'm perfectly fine with. I like the bright colors, so I think this actually worked out really well. And then I did make sure to add in colors for the headband to match the shirt. And then I'm coming in with the apron. She's very colorful when she's baking. So she's going to have a pink apron and that's the R85, 83, and 81. This is also one of my favorites lately for pinks. So I just did some shading there, the darkest color blending to the lightest. And then I'm going to have the ribbon and the hem of that apron be a blue. I was just touching up some areas there, the earring and a little bit of neck collar there that I forgot. Oh yes, and the gloves. I didn't want to have too much going on here, so I just made the oven mitts the same color as the apron. And then on the apron, like I said, I wanted the ribbon and that bottom hem of the apron to be blue. So I started out with some BGs. And the colors I'm going to list at the top is what I should have started with. I should have started with the BG09. But I was kind of playing around. I wasn't getting as deep of a shadow as I like. I think I had started with the BG05. And then I did come in with the BG09. So BG09, 05, and 02 is what I ended up using for a blend. And I really like how those colors came together and how that BG09 really gave me some shadow areas. And then just touching up the shoes just a little bit to match the shirt. And I didn't do any shading on the pan just because it was such a simple image to color in. I just went right in with the C3. And for the muffins, I'm going to do E25, E33, and E30. I had started actually with another color and switched it out because that wasn't quite working for me. But E25, 33, and 30 I thought was a really nice blend for muffins. Now for the background panel of my card, I'm just taking a white piece of cardstock. This is also the Nina Solar White cardstock. And I did cut it about 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 because I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. And this is a very old score pal. I will link to a newer one down below in my description area, but this is what I have. So I just put a point up in the top there, and I'm going about every 1/2 inch. I lined up those lines. I know they're hard to see on the screen, but I did go through with my score tool that came with the score pal. I can't find my Teflon bone folder at this time, so I would recommend getting one of those because these bone folders that come with the score pal are not very good. So I just went about every 1/2 inch and just did a score line all the way through the panel. And I just went over that a couple times. This is a really good cardstock, so it didn't rip through my paper at all. And I'm actually going to use the other side so that you'll feel them, excuse me, you're going to feel them on the side that I'm going to use. So now I have that done, and I did go ahead and cut my image out with my scan and cut machine. And I'm just getting an idea of, at this point, what I want to do. And I decided I wanted to just layer my card and add some colors. So I have an A2 size card base in white. I cut down a yellow piece of cardstock for my second layer. So that was trimmed down to 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And then here I'm trimming my embossed panel to 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So that'll just layer on top of the other. And then I can just get an idea on where my image is going to go and a sentiment that I want to use from the stamp set. So I decided to use Life is Short, Eat Dessert first. So being that this is embossed, I can't really stamp on top of that because it's not going to look right. So I took a black piece of cardstock and just went over that with my embossing buddy to remove any static and fingerprints and make sure that my embossing powder doesn't stick to it. And I'm going to go ahead and use my Misty stamping tool and lay down my sentiment, close the door and pick it up, and then I can come in with some Versamark ink and get that inked up really well. This is a nice sticky ink, so my embossing powder is going to hold really well. And then I'm going to use some Gina K Designs white embossing powder. This is one of my favorites. It's a really nice bright white. So I can go ahead, sprinkle that on there, flick the cardstock a couple times, make sure that none of that embossing powder is stuck to my black cardstock. Excuse me. And then I can take my heat gun and heat that up. And I do recommend heating up your heating tool a few minutes ahead of time. This did take me a little bit longer to emboss, so I just heated it through the back too so it didn't warp the cardstock. And then I'm just going to trim this down into a strip. So I didn't measure it, I just eyeballed it and got that trimmed down. Lining that edge up. I really like this paper trimmer because it's got that bar on there, so it keeps it nice and straight. And then I can line up where my sentiment's going to go. I'm going to have my image kind of go over the top of it. Nice and simple. And then I can start getting this adhered down. Now my card wasn't straight, so I just went ahead and trimmed that off on the bottom. And then just start putting this card together with my adhesive. And I will have all of my supplies listed down below in the video description and on my blog post as well. So if you're interested in any of these supplies, that will be available to you. In my image, I'm going to pop up with some foam squares just to give it a little bit of dimension. I know those scored lines are hard to see, but you'll see better pictures at the end of the video. So just line that up where I want her to be. And I was thinking she needed a little bling, so I'm pulling out some jewels that I got from Pretty Pink Posh. These are really pretty. They're actually a bluish color, but they're so iridescent you can't really tell the color. So I just went ahead and lined some up on my card, and I'm going to use some Nouveau Deluxe adhesive to attach those down, and that will finish off the card. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Thanks so much for stopping by, and see you in the next video.